Boom!
Boom!
What up,
Hey,
boys?
we're both wearing black today.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's nice, clean. All right, here we go, ladies and gents. It is Tuesday, back from Billie Jean a Billie Jean marketing class, and I was listening to an episode, and it kind of influenced today's show. So we're gonna hop into it. Is fear holding you back? Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business
Yeah, here we go, ladies and gents. Well,
It's
guests
that
didn't
time.
show up today, and so it's just us. To be fair, they're on the other side of the world, and it's kind of tough sometimes when you're across the what is it? We can go Pacific and Atlantic, right? When you're on the other side, you can go either way and get there.
Yeah, you can go either way to get there, but I mean, you're only
It's
going to
probably the
cross one,
Pacific.
probably.
Yeah.
Pacific would be easier. That's why the Navy goes from San Diego to Australia sometimes, but probably not from Norfolk to Australia. At least not very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, they're gonna go to the UK, to Africa, to all those other places, right? Usually, how it works?
Yeah. I mean, the Pac West is always going to be like Australia and, most of the Southeast Asian countries. So Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan, Thailand, all the good stuff. Well, depends on what you mean by the good stuff, right? Because on the East Coast, we would go out and we would hit up all the European, Mediterranean, Spain and Lisbon, Portugal,
Good
like
stuff.
yeah, a lot of good stuff over there. But we both meet up in the middle and head to Dubai and Bahrain. So
All right. Well, point is, when you got to get across the world, it's not the easiest thing sometimes to get on the show at the same time that we start. So anyways, we are here. Change the show theme to Is Fear Holding You Back?
now this is not what you said the subject was going to be. You totally phrased it
worst
differently.
case scenario, best case scenario. But here's what it comes down to, right? It's the fear of doing something. Like for anybody who listens to our show, who is an entrepreneur, who is trying something that is not within their comfort zone, right? Something that is not what they're normally up to, something that is different, right? There comes a point where fear is going to set in, right? And for me, case in point, what I'm talking about here is when you're shifting over careers. Maybe, for example, what if I was going to leave teaching and go 100% into podcasting or marketing, right? What would happen in that scenario in my mind, right? Maybe initially there would be some excitement, right? Oh, dude, I'm going to go in this new career. I'm going to have this new job. I'm going to do this new thing. And you get excited, right? At first. But then right before you actually pull the trigger and make it happen, all those fears start to set in, right? And James, for example, dude, you joined the Navy out of, I wouldn't say fear, heartbreak, right? You joined the Navy out of heartbreak. And went and signed the paperwork. But once it was like a reality, like once you knew it was happening, you had to have some fear set in.
No,
No, you didn't?
no.
You're like, get me out of here. I don't care what it
Mostly
is.
because I was an idiot and I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Okay.
But
fair,
I will
fair.
tell you, the moment that I showed up to boot camp at, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock at night, whatever it was. And I remember walking up to that building in Waukegan, Illinois, just an hour north of Chicago, or south of Chicago, I should say, wherever, somewhere, who knows. Anyway, walking to that building, like getting off the bus and, getting yelled at right away and walking towards that building with my bag in my left hand, right? Because that's how it's done. Like, that's when the fear started to set in.
That's
That
when
was
you're
like, oh shit, what did I just
do?
What did I do? Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be a little scary. Plus, let's talk about another transition then. Okay, so it was scary getting to boot camp, going through the whole thing. 8 years down the road, you are exiting
7
the
years,
Navy.
7 months, 21 days.
There you go. Almost 8 years, right? And so there's an excitement about leaving the Navy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then comes the realization of, damn, what am I going to do now? Now you had the GI Bill, so you were going to stay with me, but there had to be some more fear that set in, right? Walk me through that.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's actually backtrack to, about 2.5 years before I actually got out. That was more of a fear time. I got convinced to stay in the Navy by someone who told me, hey, the sea duty, when you're stationed on a ship, like that's you working for the Navy. But when you go to, yeah, but when you go to shore, right, when you do your shore rotation, that's the Navy working for you. So go to shore, go to school, do this, do that, get yourself set up so that when you get out, you have a nice solid foundation. So for me, that was the fear of, I don't know what I'm going to do afterwards. So I'm going to take a little bit of extra time and, try and get myself set up. So that was some fear. And at that time, you didn't even have a place where I could stay. I mean, I could have done the couch surfing. I could have done the GI Bill. I could have done all those things still. But there was enough fear that kept me in for another 2.5 years.
And that fear, ladies and gents, that fear is alive and well in a lot of us, in almost any venture that we're going to take. And so I'm listening to this Billie Jean episode, and it's the same type of scenario, right? People are making a change in their life, or they're deciding if they're going to commit to this change, right? So it's kind of like what you're talking about. You're going to get out of the Navy. You're either going to sign those docs to stay and be comfortable where you're at, because this is the hell right? At the very least, this is what is secure.
Yep.
Or you're gonna sign those other docs and say, peace out, I'm gonna go do my thing, right?
Right.
That is a fear that we all go through. And so as I'm listening to this podcast episode, by the way, if you guys want to check out Billie Jean's stuff, it's called Billie Jean Offends the Internet. Very vulgar, very funny, but very good stuff. So anyways, in this scenario, he's talking to a couple entrepreneurs, and he's asking them, what's stopping you? What's preventing you? And just like you described, you're like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to be on somebody's couch. I didn't know, where I was going to stay. Too much fear kept me where I was going to be. And what Billy does in this episode was super impressive to me. I thought, oh, that's unique. He started asking, well, how would it feel if you were couch surfing? How would it feel if, you didn't know where to go? What were you end up doing? What is the worst case scenario in your mind? Let's actually go there. Let's confront this fear right up front, right? Yeah. And so, let's kind of role play here, Ham. So let's put yourself in a situation that was more recent, where you were deciding, am I going to buy this insurance agency and run it 100% myself, or am I going to go do something else? Right? Am I going to go find a job somewhere else? Remember that conversation we had when we were buying out our partners? Yep. So let's put yourself in that fear scenario, and let's do the worst case scenario. Let's say they bought you out. What was going to happen for you? What's your worst case scenario? What was your game plan?
That's a really good question. And you know what? I mean, I think part of the fear of what would come next was a reason why I was like, nope. I know that I don't want to lose what I have. And so I'll go ahead and, just make that decision. But I mean, worst case scenario, thinking about it, I probably would have
Got a job. I'll let you think about it. For a second.
Got a job. That's honestly, that's
how you feel about working for other people, right? Now that you've experienced entrepreneurship.
Yeah, there's our other business partner person, whatever she was, Heather, who I knew that I could hit her up and be like, yo, I know where you're working, hook me up, whatever. And I probably could have got something there. I have whatever connections within the industry. I think I probably could have found something, and I might have done that for a little while just to hold me over. I mean, until I decided that I wanted to do something else for myself. I mean, I've that probably would have been the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, I would have got a job. That's about as bad as it can get
for you, right?
for me.
And let me share one that I had. When we first started getting into this entrepreneurial space, right? And we started this business, and I ended up quitting my job at Wells Fargo. I had a worst case scenario plan. I wasn't going to move in with mom and dad. That was like not going to be my thing. And then they ended up moving to LA. So I definitely was not going to go that direction. And my worst case scenario was I was going to live out of my car until I got back on my feet. I was just going to have my 24-hour gym membership so I can go, I can work out, I can take a shower, right? And then just when I had to go to sleep, I would, park my car somewhere where I feel safe enough and then, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, go to 24-hour, get myself a workout and keep going. And that was my worst case scenario, right?
Yep.
And understanding that this is the bottom of the bottom, the low of the low that I'm going to reach. And then from here, I can go a little bit higher, facing that fear and actually looking at it and say, am I willing to do that? Like, am I willing to go to that lowest point possible? And is it really that bad?
Yeah. The more I think about it, it's not even just the opportunity, the decision that we had to make about buying the business. It's also about buying out our partners. It's also just the business in general, right? I often, oh my gosh, I would get, bouts of anxiety and, whatever, thinking about if the bottom falls out from under me and, we have to shut the business down and like, there goes our income. And I start thinking about all those things. And like, on the one hand, I could get really freaked out and, worried and it caused a lot of stress for me. But then on the other hand, one of the things that helped me get past that stress or cope with that stress was exactly what you're talking about. Thinking about the worst case scenario. What is the worst case scenario? If everything falls apart, everything goes to shit, and I lose all of my income, everything just goes away. I mean, I got some couches I can stay on. I got a few places that I can go. I still have my RV. Maybe I'll have to sneak that away somewhere because they'll probably try to repo it or something. But like there are places that I can go. Like I'm not afraid of being homeless. I'm afraid of being destitute. Like, just,
at the starting over point.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. But see, part of what this exercise was doing, part of why we're hitting these worst case scenarios and plugging into this fear is because once you realize what your biggest fear is, like what would be the worst? You're not married, you don't have kids. I mean, you're married, but you don't have kids. If you were destitute like that, like you're married-ish, right? If you were destitute like that, you wouldn't have to worry about the scenario. For me, I know I would probably have to, move in with my in-laws and, technically they're living with me right now, but, and my, the kids I would have to depend on other people to help me with my kids and, to put food on the table for a little while. Like those are probably the biggest fears. And I think the biggest fear for me would be an ego shot, right? Like, I'm seen as this, certain level of success, and to hit rock bottom, that's a big bruise to my ego.
Right.
So to me, those are some of the worst fears that I have. But now let's take a second and let's flip it. Okay, so now we know what the worst case is. And if we're able to see that worst case scenario and like really pinpoint what it is and realize that, in all reality, it isn't really that bad. Mm-hmm. But if we don't take the time to actually hash it out, to think about what that option is going to be, we can create all kinds of weird scenarios in our mind about what the worst thing can be. It's like when you go to the movie theater and you're watching a scary movie and that, the sound's getting intense, dun, 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 dun. Something big is going to happen, and you're one of two people. Well, the one person who actually watches it and kind of jumps and gets scared, whatever, keeps going, or you're the person who covers their eyes because they don't want to see what happens. And I believe that if you're the person who covers their eyes, you have a worse fear at the movie theater because you're not taking a look and confronting your fear. So your mind creates massive different types of creative things that are scarier than what actually is happening because your mind's good at that. It's good at creating those fears for you. So when you're doing this activity, what's your worst case scenario when you're thinking about leaping into something and starting a new venture or, investing in something? Go through these worst case scenarios, pinpoint what it looks like. What's the scariest thing that can happen to you? What's the worst case scenario if everything goes bad? Because once you have it, like we just did, now we can play the other game. What if it works out?
Best case scenario.
What's the best case scenario? Right? So let's go back to your example, Ham. So, the best case scenario, what happens if we buy our partners out? We take 100% control of our insurance agency. What's the best case scenario? What does that look like for you?
Kicking ass, taking names, building the agency from, where it is to where I had been envisioning it to go for, the past several years, and, actually creating a huge company of 100 agents and 45 staff members and tiers and management and departments and all of these different things. I mean, that was the vision that I had for years as I was building it. So I mean, that's the best case scenario. And then all of a sudden I'm making, I go from hitting our goal, right, of $30,000 a month each. Like that's the best case scenario. That's the top, right? And
you've done some fun activities when it comes to that income level, right? What does your life look like when you're earning $30,000 a month in income? What kind of life do you afford? What does that best case scenario look like?
I love it. So I had this spreadsheet that I created where at the beginning of each month I would deposit $30,000 into my fake account, and I would just spend like I wanted to. I mean, I would, if there was something on my mind that I wanted, I would put it, okay, I spent $100 on, a sound bar, or, I spent $50 on dinner for myself. I went to the bar and I spent $300 on drinks for me and my friends, or, whatever, like just anything that I wanted to spend my money, plus the expenses that I already had. So like my current rent, my current bills, all of these different things. And I remember there was, 1 month in particular where I had spent everything that I wanted to. I bought dinner for all of my friends. I paid for all of my friends' drinks. I, just spent whatever the heck I wanted to. And by the end of it, I still had like $10,000 left or something like that. I was like, okay, well, I need to find a way to spend this. So I went on the internet and I found out how much it would cost to take me and like my polycule and like some friends to Disneyland, all expenses paid, for like, I think it was like 6 or 8 people or something like that, staying in a hotel for 3 days and, the whole works. And it ended up costing like $8,000 or $9,000. So I still had like $1,000 left over. I'm like, holy crap. Like I just took everybody to Disneyland for 3 days, all expenses paid, and there's still money there.
Dude. And very similar to my side, dude. I would be doing box seats probably at Padre games and inviting, people that I do business with to come. I know that I would love to take a group of friends and fly private, like get a private jet, just walk up to the thing, fly us over to Vegas, get a nice suite, like just the works, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's the other side of it too, right?
I bet you could do all of that for less than 10 grand.
You can, right? And that's the thing. That's the thing, that this other best case scenario side, you have to see. You're so fearful of what that worst case scenario is that once you pinpoint it and you see it, now you can start looking at the other side. The other side is, I'd be able to hire people to do all kinds of these projects that I've been wanting to take advantage of, to do amazing things in this world. I could be able to donate to, mom's food kitchen, and maybe instead of feeding 500 families, she's feeding 1,000 families, right? Like there's all kinds of great and amazing things that I know I would be able to do if I had the capability to reach my best case scenario. Right? I mean, all kinds of cool stuff. What kind of charitable things or stuff like that did you want to do when you were looking at your $30,000 a month?
That's a good question. I don't think that I actually did a lot of the charitable things through that. Okay, so some of the charitable things, I guess we'll call it charitable. I was paying the rent for Danny's family, right? Like, boom, your rent's paid. Don't worry about it.
Gotcha.
And I think I was paying for like mom and dad's, like, throwing extra income at them, and Vanessa's parents too, throwing some stuff at, like, just, these are my people. This is who I'm taking care of. Here's, $1,500 for you, $2,000 for you, $1,000 for you, like, whatever, just throwing money at them because I can.
See, and so, as you're going through this scenario, ladies and gentlemen, as you're working through this risk, right, this so-called risk, you start to notice that the best case scenario greatly outweighs the fear of the worst case scenario, right? But you just didn't lay it on the table. And that's the problem, is you don't ever take the time to sit down and look at that fear directly in the face. It's like everything else. You want to work out, that's cool. You want to look great. You want to have a six pack. You just don't actually want to do the sit-ups, right? It's tough. Yeah, you just kind of want it. It doesn't come that way. You have to face that fear. You have to look at that obstacle and hit it head on, right? Otherwise, you're not going to take that leap. And now when you start listing that best case scenario, when you start listing all the different people you can help, all the different organizations that'll benefit from what you're doing, all the different employees and lives that you're going to affect when you're implementing your process, you start to really think that it's actually selfish of you to not take that risk. Right? You're actually doing a disservice to your entire community, to your family, to everybody else, because you're too scared to go forward in this scenario. Now, that's not to say, and I'm not going to just like sugarcoat this and say, yeah, every investment and every risk and everything you're going to do is going to be successful right off the bat. It's going to take a lot of work. There's rarely.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Exactly, right? It's not how it works. It is going to take work. It's going to take years of effort while you fine tune a process, right? It's going to take that extra hour, 2 hours, 3 hours that you could have been Netflixing on to actually put in the work to do what you need to do. But you're building this because you know that best case scenario is within reach. It's like right there. If you're just willing to go out and get it for yourself. The fear shouldn't stop you anymore because you know what that fear is. Now that becomes, it becomes a whole different ballgame at this point. Now it's like, okay, well, do you want to, burn the bridge or burn the ships on one side and just go full force into one? Or do you want to have the business and your job as do you want to have that side hustle and kind of build as you go? That's neither here nor there. That's not part of this conversation. That's different. This conversation is take that leap. Go out and do. Look at that worst case scenario. Look at where you're at in your life and what can that best case scenario bring to you? Think about this. Let's say you're just doing it as a side hustle, right? You want to build it into something that's in your future, but you're building it as a side hustle. Most people that I know, an extra $500 a month, an extra $1,000 a month will make drastic changes in your life. You can get yourself out of debt. You can buy yourself a new car. You can pay for your new lifestyle. You can, go out and get married, take a vacation. Like there's so many things that extra like $500, $1,000 a month can do for your life. So it doesn't have to be where you go all in and then risk everything and hit that worst case scenario. But my point here is that fear that's stopping you, whatever it is that is saying, nah, I don't want to do that. I might. And then fill in the blank. That is all created in your mind. That is your imagination and your brain stopping you because it's comfortable where it's at. That's in the same scenario we talked about with James. That's why he didn't get out of the Navy, because that fear of the unknown was preventing him from going out and doing what he wanted to do. And so he stayed in the hell that he was in. It's the same fear that we have whenever we're going to take a risk. We all experience that same fear. We all experience the thing that's going to stop us. But the ones that win are the ones that can look at that worst case scenario, say, I accept the terms, and then jump in and do it anyways. That's what it's all about.
Hell yeah.
Get your ass off the couch. Get your ass out in the world and start making a difference. I don't care what it is. Maybe it's you're taking pictures, photography. Maybe you're going to cook donuts and you're going to sell that on the side. Maybe you like to print t-shirts. I don't care what it is. You're going to suck at first, but you're going to get better every day. And you are going to learn how this thing works. Take that risk. I promise you the rest of your life is going to be completely different because you are betting on yourself. And that's really what it comes down to. Ladies and gents, just a reminder, we help you get more customers by using your existing ones and creating video testimonials so they can talk about you every single day. Because business is a popularity contest. Your side hustle, whatever you're going to do, you're going to have customers in your life and you want to make sure that they are talking about you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, if you could go over there to their house and force them to do so, you would, but they wouldn't be your friends or customers anymore. So there's another way. Do it the way we do it. We create video testimonials and then you can use those for all kinds of things. You can use them to post on your social media platforms. You can send them as an email to a prospect who's on the fence about working with you. You can create Facebook ads. You can do all kinds of things with the video testimonial. It's a piece of content that talks about you through the eyes of your customer, and it's going to work for you to get you more repeat and referral business. So all you got to do is go to businessbros.biz/testimonials and get your butt ready, rocking and rolling, and let's get some more customers walking in your door. That's what it's all about. We'll see you guys on the next time. Stop letting fear control your life. Get out there and make something happen. Peace out, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.